thank you for joining me. So today we're going to be reviewing a camera that I love so much that I had to get two of them. The cameras in question are the Zorki 4s. So I've had one Zorki 4 for about 3 years, and then there's another one on eBay selling as non-working that I just had to pick up because these are ridiculously easy to service in terms of cameras, as long as there's nothing like seriously wrong with them. So this is my second Zorki 4 mounted with the Indestor 50 collapsible lens. So this is the Zorki 4 with the collapsible lens. Collapses, stores back inside the camera, making it super thin. Specially designed 3D printed TPU rubber cap that keeps the lens from uncollapsing that I designed and print. Now, I love these cameras because A, they're small, they're sleek, they're pretty heavy, but they have a lot of features packed into them that that just sort of make sense. Like, you have your viewfinder, which isn't particularly big or particularly bright, but it is yellow, so you can see what you're focusing on fairly easy, except in, like, if you're focusing on something yellow, of course. But say you got glasses, right? So your eyes are screwed up and you can't see just fine. You have this little lever here, which you can adjust for your glasses, so you can actually see what's happening in the viewfinder. Not a lot of Soviet cameras can do that. Older cameras can do that. And some of the newer Japanese cameras I haven't had that option for on the particularly few rangefinders that I've tried. You also have this ring around the shutter speed dial, which you can actually use to set your flash bulb offset. I'm going to call it offset, I don't know what the official term is, but basically you can delay, there we go. So we can choose the delay from 0 seconds all the way up to 25-second delay after you press the shutter button, how long it should wait in milliseconds before it fires off that flash bulb. Now for like 99.8% of you guys, you're never going to touch that dial because you don't shoot with flash bulbs. I do, so this is not super important for me, to be honest, because, well, I don't mess with it. I just set it at 0 and shoot my flash bulbs off as usual. But you will need 1/30th of a second and a tripod to successfully or creatively shoot your flash bulbs. Another trick that this particular rangefinder can do is, we see this dial, right? So this dial here is your shutter button right here, and then there's a dial that has two functions, well, three, but two. So your first option is when you're done with your film, like you finished off a roll of film, you have to loosen this dial, or you turn it one way, which would allow your cassette to spin so you could reel it in, right? Like all standard cameras do, because there's no release button at the bottom for your film. It's pretty cool, right? But say you want to do a long exposure of, say, like 5 minutes, right? Ooh, you forgot your shutter release cable. What are you ever gonna do? Like, how are you gonna do a long exposure? You're not gonna hold the camera and risk shaking it, right? So this dial, actually, you can spin it and it will lock your shutter in place. So we're on bulb, right? We got the shutter open. What do you know? It is holding my shutter open until, like, who needs a cable anymore for long exposure, as long as you don't shake your camera, right? It's on a tripod, you hold it with two hands and, like, but that is one of the nice things about this camera. Dual purpose, I've never used it, but hey, it's there, right? As long as it's there, extra purpose. And then when you're finally done shooting your film, you can see that this knob is recessed in here, right? It's pretty hard to wind 36 frames back in the canister. Yeah, this knob comes up so you can wind your film back in your canister, and when you're done, it just sits flat. And you have your little frame number, so that way every time you spin it, it will advance 1 frame, so you know how many frames you have left to shoot. So as you can easily and clearly hear in my voice that I really love this camera. I mean, if I didn't love it, would I have 2 of them, right? So I do love this camera. The only downside, because I only love the Zorki 4, right? The 4K, if you ask me, from a mechanical and from a non-mechanical perspective, it sucks. I've owned one, two, both of them broke, unrelated, but I like that it has the windy knob, but the mechanics in it aren't particularly durable or meant to last super long, in my opinion, from what I've seen trying to fix them. Compared to this workhorse. Now, the only negative thing that I can say about this, besides having a cloth shutter for a rangefinder, that's neither here nor there. Like all the modern Leicas, I don't like cloth. I like metal because cloth burns and metal doesn't really. So, in a camera, right? Metal burn. Anyways, the only thing I don't like about this camera is the take up spool, right? So you can see we have the Zorki 4. Oh no, we lost our take up spool. So when you're reloading this camera or loading this camera, you got to be like hyper vigilant. You always got to be aware that, hey, this take up spool is removable and losable. I have lost 2 of these in, I don't know, 3-4 years in a few different cameras. Because when you're not looking and you're like walking and you're like, hey, I got to put in a different roll, and you take it off and this thing silently falls out, hits the ground, and you keep walking, and then you're putting your roll in, you're like, oh wait, we lost a very valuable member of the family. It's not particularly great. And I sometimes carry spares with me because I've bought spares and acquired spares from cameras that have succumbed and have died. This particular Zorki. Some people will glue them in place. I haven't felt the need to go to those great depths yet, but some people will glue them in place so you can't lose them. But it is easier when loading a new spool to take this take-up spool out, roll your film on there, clamp it, slide it all as one unit. Easier for me. I mean, if you glued it in place, you kind of lose that option. But now, when you're getting a Zorki, right? Zorki 4 specifically, not the 4K. There are 2 versions, and luckily for you, dear viewer, I happen to have both. So if you would closely look at these shutter dials, assuming I can get them in focus, these are my 2 Zorkis. And we can see by the shutter dials that one of them happens to have issues with the shutter dial, and the other one is not, or does not. What do I mean by that? For Zorki 4s, there are 2 specific versions, version 1 and version 2. Version 1 happens to have a shutter speed dial, like this one right here, that is screen printed. So you can see, hopefully, that the numbers have faded. So when the numbers fade, you can't really see what shutter speed you're using. Versus version 2, they are lasered into place, so they won't be able to wear out because, well, they're lasered. So does it really matter? No. If one of them wears out, could you repaint them? Yeah. Which I've been meaning to try and laser them myself because I have a laser, as you probably know if you've been on this channel. So does it really matter? No. Is it easier to see what shutter speeds you're using? A little bit, yeah. But mainly, I don't use anything that's faded, which for me is 1/15th and smaller, except for 1/30th for flash. So using, 1/1000th, 1/250th is still, I can clearly see exactly where it's at. Easily set it, no problem. And one weird, interesting fact about these Zorkis, again, not fact checked, not anything. This is just my personal experience of having a few of these, is I do not see a light seal anywhere on mine. Like going around the camera, on the back, not a single light seal. Not a felt seal, not a foam seal, just straight metal to metal. Yet on every single Zorki I've ever owned, I've never had a light leak. And trust me, the tolerances, the tolerances on these things with the gaps, they're not all that great. Why it's not leaking? I don't know. I'm not going to question why it's leaking. I'm not going to investigate it. But hey, if it's not leaking, that's just how I'm going to leave it. But yeah, I've used this camera in anywhere from minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit and Celsius to 90, 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside. I've shot this thing in the rain, the snow, outdoors, dusty. This thing has seen it all. I've photographed with it everywhere that I've traveled. And since it's so small and takes up virtually no room, I can just literally throw this in a camera bag and take it anywhere, especially paired with like a collapsible lens or something. I mean, no room. It's pretty stealthy. So you can literally, I've thrown this thing in my coat pocket. I walk around with it occasionally. Great quality, very reliable. You have anywhere from 1/1000th of a second all the way down to 1/5 on this camera. Still works. So it's like literally, if I'm not grabbing my SLR, this thing will fit in any camera bag. It comes with me everywhere I go. That's how much I love these things. Just know when you buy one of these cameras, the first thing you should get, besides a lens cap, because you don't want to burn a hole in the shutter, the second thing is an adapter right here. Because these things of mine will see the tripod. So if you don't have an adapter, this is 3/8 thread. You need 1/4 thread, standard tripod thread. So if you don't have one of these adapters, you can't mount it on a tripod. So that's one of the first add-ons you can get. There's tons of options on Amazon, Camera Store, whatever you want. That, just make sure you got one, because then you'll go, oh, I want to put it on a tripod. Oh, I can't put it on a tripod. Why? Because I don't have that adapter. So just one thing to know about these cameras. But these, for sure, my absolute favorite rangefinder out of all the ones I own and all the ones that I've ever used. The Zorki 4. Not the 4K, the 4. If you're getting one, just make sure that there's 0 holes in the curtain, and that's about it. Everything else, slow shutter speeds might be a little slow occasionally, but if you need, there's a CLA instructions on Google. As long as you know how to use a screwdriver and like common sense, and you got like somewhere to put the screws, you can do a CLA on them. They're not hard. I've serviced both of these. They're not hard. It just takes a few hours, and then you'll have a perfectly working, like, lubed up Zorki 4 that's going to last you for another 30, 40 years. Not hard. They're not expensive. Just make sure that you don't have holes in the curtain. You can replace the curtain. Huge headache, huge pain in the butt. Just make sure there's no holes in there. If you have like pinholes, you can use like liquid electric tape, black, is it latex? Latex or acrylic paint to fill them in. But best thing to do is just make sure, keep that lens covered with a lens cap. When you're out in the sun, just take it off, take a picture. You'll be fine as long as your curtains don't already have a hole in it. And then last tip I'll leave with you for this camera, for any rangefinder that you will ever own, if you're taking artsy pictures at, say, f2.8, when you're done, always switch it back to f16 or f22 or whatever the highest f-stop you have. That way, if your lens cap ever falls off or anything happens, at f22, it's going to take quite a few minutes to burn through your shutter curtain. If you're at f2.8, especially if you're like at infinity or something, and your lens cap falls out, give it 2, 3, 4 seconds, and you have a hole in your curtain. And that'd be a very bad day, because then you got to toss the camera out or pay someone to fix it. Versus at f16, your lens cap falls off, it's going to be quite some time before you actually have a hole in your curtain. But I hope this does help you, and if you're looking for a rangefinder, I recommend this one.